And just like
Oh,
that,
God.
we are back for episode 3 of season 2 of the Max hit series. And just like that, it's your boy Lucas with my amazing, talented, humble, voluptuous.
Okay, voluptuous. I mean, I'm getting there. You know what I
There you
mean?
go. Look, I'm trying to throw out as many words as
I
we
get
possible.
older.
Co-worker
Okay,
here.
now.
Amaya, Desire, what's going on this
What's
evening?
up, Blue? I'm here. I got the wine. I got the wizard.
You're drinking wine, and I'm drinking a tequila old fashion. So
Listen.
we clear. The drinking is necessary at times, unfortunately, to get through these early episodes of this season.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the best. That's the best way to put it. But
That's way.
here we are, episode 3. This one is called Chapter 3. And the episode begins with Carrie running into Lisette. Lisette is someone who we ran into in season 1 as she was the downstairs neighbor of Carrie. And here she asks Carrie to go to her jewelry upcoming showcase right before Fashion Week, which is, anybody know New York, Fashion Week, you know how big of opportunity that would be.
Absolutely.
All I'm going to ask here, because it's very short scene, not much to talk about here. What do you think about Lisette's outfit?
Well, I liked it. I was something I would actually wear. I would rock that completely, totally.
Really? The heels too?
Not the heels.
See, look at you. Already disappointing people.
Not the heels. I
Already
would just take them
disappointing
down.
people.
Okay, I would do the heels as long as they were mules and or block. But because I can't remember, what did she have on? Was it block? No.
No, those were just straight 4-inch heel, look like
Stilettos.
long boot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh no,
looks like
yeah,
it.
they were pointy. I mean, I would have tried. I would have faked it. If I would have fell, I just would have been a damsel in distress. I would have tried though. I mean, I feel like I get points.
You
For that.
just gotta fall and fake a death drop. That's all it is. As long as you just like throw your leg in the air, they be like, oh, she doing death drops in the boots.
Death drop. Lord have mercy. I'm definitely gonna be in the emergency room after that. Oh, child.
But next up, we have Seema as she gets robbed on the streets of New York for her Birkin because clearly people with lots of money tend to just have their bags laying out that someone could just run by and take it. So here, instead of just focus on this part with Seema, I'm going to focus on Seema this entire episode.
Okay.
What did you like about or did not like about the arc of her character in this episode? From her losing the Birkin, we see that she's heart-stricken over losing this bag, and then in the end of, as she put it, an old school New York robber who only takes your wallet and throws the bag away. She happens to get her Birkin back. What did you think the Birkin symbolized for Seema in this episode?
I mean, I like how she put it. You know what I mean? Like it was a gift to myself, a very large gift to myself from when I made my first big sale. And I like that because I think that a lot of women are starting to do that now. And just people in general, but I know from women myself, getting yourself something nice when you make like you get that promotion or that salary or you buy your house or whatever the case is, you know what I mean? Treating yourself and not feeling bad for it. I like that we see her in a non-superficial way because I was a little worried that she was just, that it was just a bag. And of course, it's the Birkin. But as she explains what it means to her, she goes on this journey to kind of like find it. She's heartbroken. You see her in her scarf at lunch. And it's just like one of those things where she's like, really just saying like, wow, because I worked so hard for something and I really treated myself and it was my bag, like, so I like that. I thought that was really cool. It was authentic for me. It seems very authentic of who her character is, so it was cool.
Yeah, it's good to see that they bring up a bag that's as expensive as a Birkin is, but pinpoint that the sentimental value of it was way more important to her than what she paid for the bag. Like we could see she was truly mourning it, and it wasn't her mourning because of it cost $50, $60, $80, $100,000 for the bag. It was, this was a time in my life where I doubted myself and didn't think I could make it, and I made it, and this was my big gift to myself. I think that was a amazing theme that tended to run for her this entire episode, because she also used the loss of the Birkin to help relate to Carrie with the loss of Big. Granted, again, as she puts in there, I'm not comparing the two to each other,
Right.
but a loss is a loss, no matter how you see it. The loss is more dependent on the person who suffers it
Right. The
than
meaning
how the
to it.
outside people see about
Right.
it. And that's what I loved about this, because you don't get to see people put emotion behind having a Birkin. It's
Absolutely.
normally sweetie telling us that you broke if you can't buy your girl a Birkin. And here, this girl bought herself a Birkin
She
because she's her
said,
own boss,
"I'm the
which is
boss."
highly important here. Next up, a storyline that made no sense, and in all honesty, I'm highly confused why I was in this episode. And that is Lisa and Charlotte and
Mm-hmm.
the school and the MILF list. And that's the obvious question that our audience wants to know.
What?
You think you would be on the MILF list?
Absolutely. Okay, absolutely, I would be on the list. I definitely think that it was the comedic relief of the episode. I
Yeah.
don't think that it had any like real substance to it, but I like Lisa and Charlotte's relationship. I like that
Yeah.
Charlotte's a little bit more fun, not as uppity, stick is out her ass. You know what I mean? So I thought that it was a cool little sprinkle, but like you said, it just didn't kind of fit in with the remaining of the
Yeah.
episode. So yeah.
Because and I'm gonna stick with him here because granted I'm gonna skip the lunch scene because that's a whole different discussion we'll have later that really is unnecessary also, but I did like the lunch scene a little bit. But I'm gonna stick with their last scene when they go back to the school once they found out the culprit who made the MILF list. And then I'm gonna flip this in a way because I think I can get not only your honest opinion, but every woman's honest opinion. If that was a group of men and a teenage girl walked out of that principal's office and they looked that way at them, could you even use that as a form of comedic relief, or would that just be looked at as disgusting?
Disgusting. 110% disgusting. I mean, it was even disgusting watching it in that kind of manner because
Yeah,
I'm like, and then especially the shot of the ass. I'm like, so we just looking at his butt now? Like, you really doing that in a school? I don't think they really thought that through. The MILF list, okay, cool, but the showing of the students, showing how the moms were like ogling over over him, kind of like was very disgusting. But they bring that up. And so, what happens to the moms who were making those nasty
inappropriate
remarks?
comments to a minor.
Yeah,
Come on, even down to
very
Lisa,
inappropriate.
who I think it was a horrible line to say, wow, all of a sudden I feel like Blanche Devereaux, because that tells you what it's hinting towards.
Mhm.
And that's I'm sorry if sexual abuse of a minor is just not the best way for comedic relief. If this would have been a college, yes, all
College is
fair game.
different.
Granted,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
still way too young for you, but they're at least legal.
At
You could
least
have went
legal.
with that.
At least.
But this is in Lily's school, so
Yeah.
he's about 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Like it was a cringeworthy scene. But I know even the people who may have gotten humor out of it, if you reverse that, not only is there no humor in that, they'd be like, man, they need to be thrown away because that
Yeah.
is just a
Totally
horrible scene to do.
inappropriate. Yeah, totally inappropriate.
Yeah, it kind of threw me off a little bit. But next up, I'm going to skip the main part of the episode, meaning the crux of this entire episode, and go to the Miranda and Shay of it all in this episode here. One, we're not going to have a discussion about Android phones. Screw anybody with an iPhone who try to make it seem like Android phones don't ring loud, the Android phones don't work properly. Just because you have your old people iPhones,
You were so
that
passionate
it's
about that.
one
So,
button push for it, because it made no sense.
I
She was
mean,
a liar. You
listen,
even steal my Android phone to take pictures when we go
I
out.
damn sure do. I hope you still have those pictures, okay? Because I want somebody to open your phone up and think you got a girlfriend because they're gonna be like, who is this girl? She take all these selfies on your phone. They have some really good pictures, okay? But I think that it was it. I'm so disappointed with these.
Mhm.
I hope the episodes get better because there's so much feel. It's like having a pillow, and the pillow, you like the pillow. The pillow's really good, and it came when it came. It was stuffed very well, and it helped you sit up. And now you got the pillow, and you like, damn, my pillow needs some stuffing, and the pockets that feel empty. That's what this feels like. These little tidbits that
Yeah.
don't really make any sense to me. Like, what the whole phone about Android? Like, what are we doing here? And it just that scene. Anyways,
Yeah, it just didn't feel good
it
to
didn't.
have that be the introduction scene, and then they're reading lines with one another, and that's when you get to touch on what could be a serious subject matter,
Yes.
and I think we could stick here for a while because we could just run through Miranda and Shay and how everything evolves with them in this episode, because we see the questions by Miranda about you're supposed to cry,
Hmm.
and we see how they react to Miranda saying that. What did you think about just Shay's reluctancy to have that type of scene shown on their show?
Considering that they cry multiple times in the season that started, I'm very confused as to why they think that they couldn't cry. But I think that there is, and I can't speak because I'm not part of the community, but as a person, I do understand the whole like they think I'm weak, or they might think that there's
Hmm.
an issue here, but there's a real reality to people who come out, whether non-binary, trans, gay, whatever the case is, and they're not received well by family and or friends. And so I
Hmm.
think you could find a vulnerable moment there where you are absolutely going to cry without even having to try. So I thought it was interesting, but I think maybe also when it comes to acting, I feel like that's something you want to kind of hold off for when you're actually shooting versus just in rehearsal. So I thought maybe, okay, you know, they don't want to cry right now, but authentically, to have a great show, you need to cry. There's nothing worse to me than watching a show that's a cry worthy moment and there are no tears. How are you crying exactly? I'm very
Exactly.
confused. Did your tear ducts
Exa-
dry up?
exactly. It's like watching certain episodes of This Is Us when they break down, and yet there was no tears, and you're like, wait a
Yeah,
minute, like,
my man
except
Rico
for
cried a
Sterling
lot.
K. Brown, because Sterling K. Brown's going to cry. Now, is he gonna cry? He's gonna cry on cue,
He's gonna
and
cry. He
he gonna give you that one tear that's gonna start, and then you already know he's like Viola Davis when she snots up, and you know it's
listen,
coming, it's
listen.
coming.
Hmm.
But I think that was an interesting storyline, and as the episode went on with them, we see what happened at the taping of the episode, and how in the midst of that same question, the same one that she told Miranda she couldn't cry about, we see before Miranda embarrasses her because Miranda has decided to sneak her phone,
Hmm.
not on vibrate,
Not
but
on
sneak her
vibrate.
phone.
Not on vibrate.
I swear, what is it with? And I don't want to characterize anybody a certain way, but listen, white women, when you sneak things in a place you ain't supposed to have, you gotta make sure that ringer is off.
Listen.
Like, I understand you gotta make sure that's the first matter of fact. I thought this was gonna be a funny moment, and it was gonna give Miranda like that, like as Shay is crying and his phone is vibrating and it's setting her off. That's what I thought the angle they were gonna go down. I didn't expect
Oh
it to
no.
be her leaving the phone on. But after she leaves the phone on, after we see the emotion from Shay and how embarrassed they are that they kind of cried in that moment, because that was the key
Mhm.
part. They were
Mhm.
extremely emotional and got embarrassed, but that they were extremely emotional. What you think about the scene afterwards with her? Well, I'm sorry, with they and Miranda outside on the studio lot, as Miranda's letting them know that she has to leave to go attend to her son Grady, who we're going to talk about also, and the way Che reacted to that, and the way Miranda reacted back about that being my child.
I'm glad that Che did what they did, quite frankly, because
Mhm.
I'm so sick and tired of Miranda whining. I'm so tired of
Mm.
her whining. She literally doesn't sound like a grown person to me. It's
Yep.
frustrating. I'm so,
Mhm.
so sorry. My son is in distress. Like, we get that, but you can say that with some sort of like in your voice that she doesn't have.
Yes.
It's very weak and meek, and it blows my mind. You snuck the phone in. You snuck the phone in not on vibrate. And I knew for certain it was going to ruin the one moment that needed to be authentic. And now
Yep.
you're exiting out of here and you're upset because
Mhm.
your child is in distress, but you also messed up their scene. You
Their
messed up
big
Shay's scene.
moment.
And so I kind of feel like I like that Che acknowledge it. Well, you ruined the family scene. Okay. I guess we're even because you don't know what it's gonna feel like to ruin a big scene, and I don't know what it's like to have a kid who's in distress. So like we're even. So I like that, and it
Yes.
wasn't very. It wasn't it wasn't malicious. Like it wasn't like you know what I mean. Overly
Yeah.
malicious. It was just like
Yeah.
just a kind of a just kind of a needle prick, so to speak. But
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. Miranda is the whole tattoo thing. It's giving way past midlife crisis. At this point, it's a
Hey,
half point
that
crisis.
I wanted someone to actually say that. It is completely giving midlife crisis, and that's the problem here. Um, you would assume from all their time together that it would click to Miranda that the reason that they get so emotional while doing that scene is because they're actually reliving it all over again.
Yeah,
And you would think the sympathy would kick in there, and it doesn't.
it doesn't.
Instead, she takes everything and makes it about her.
Mhm.
And running back because a kid got his heart broke. Are you kidding me? Do you know how often that happens?
Mhm.
That's when you tell your child, hey, suck it up. It happens to everybody.
This is again back to rich people problems because your ass in Amsterdam, you got your heart broken while you was Amsterdam. You know what I would be doing? I would
Getting
be
some
living
pussy.
it
I'm
up
sorry.
in
Sorry.
Amsterdam. That was, I mean, same thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm trying to look out for the audience. I didn't want to use
We
that word
we in
necessarily, but you know.
Amsterdam, and you young, and you rich enough to be in goddamn Amsterdam with your girlfriend who broke up with you, son. If you don't go and get you some Amsterdam box real quick and just be okay,
Exactly.
you running back home to your
If you don't
mama.
go get that, if you don't go get that Amsterdam Roddy Rich and get this over with,
Not
like
already. I'm done. I'm out of here. That was not me, y'all. That
instead
was
of
not me.
instead of whining and crying about it. But again, I understood that at least because that's authentic. What you expect when someone first
Yeah,
gets their heart broken,
yeah.
they're gonna break down and cry. But this is where I think Miranda's selfishness kicks in because it's not necessarily that you left, it's how you left.
Hmm.
You ruined this huge moment while not acknowledging just how painful
Right,
her or Shay having to go through that again, how painful that would be for
right.
them.
Yeah,
You never acknowledged that.
yeah.
Instead, you completely made it about you. That
What
is
about you? Yeah,
selfishness on a level that's just hard to understand when it's coming from a friend
it is.
or a lover,
Yeah,
a partner, somebody who I'm with. How could you not see that as
yeah.
being such a big moment for them? So again, it kind of threw me off, and then in the end, we get her and Grady embracing at the end as he's coming home, whining, saying, I talked to dad, but I really wanted you. Did you feel that Miranda was just using that as an excuse to leave LA?
I think so, but I think also Miranda don't know what the hell she doing, and she need to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Figure it out. I'm very confused. Like,
Because if you're my child and you're whining because someone broke your heart and you'd talked to the other parental figure, guess what? I'll talk to you later.
you talk to
Because
me
ain't,
too. I'm not rushing home.
yeah, what?
Where's your daddy at? You trying to tell me that your daddy can't meet you and I gotta fly back from the other
No,
side of
I'm
the
going to
country?
ask the question, why are you leaving Amsterdam?
I mean, that part
If you
too.
don't go have some fun, you just
You
had your
just
heart
asked me
broken. You know what?
college. Yeah, how old is he again? Child.
Okay, remember he took off that time because he didn't want to go. So that's
Uh,
even more of a reason I'm not going to care. I'm gonna be like, oh, so what you gonna do? I suggest you stay in Amsterdam and figure it out,
you gotta
just
figure
like you
it
told me
out.
you were gonna figure it out.
Oh
Because
my
I'm
god.
not coming home to comfort you, and I've done this with girls. Very recently, one that had her heart broken, and she's 16, and I said, hey, guess what? It happens to the best of us. I'm
It
gonna need
does.
you to buck up, put your big girl drawers on,
Not
and get
fuck up.
over it.
All right,
Yeah, buck up.
I'll
Buck
give a
up.
little bit more compassion. Come, let me hug you, and you can eat
Yeah,
ice
I'm not
cream
hugging
with
you.
me.
We know.
But you a guy, you know what I mean? I eat ice
Folks die
cream
every
and
day,
drink
B.
wine. Not folks,
Folks die
everybody.
every day, B.
I'm done with you.
Like,
Moving on. Moving
so
on.
next up on one of the things that I wish we've gotten more time with this episode, and it was only kind of hinted towards, so I don't even know what they were actually doing. So maybe you can help me out here. And that is the very quick scene between Nala and Lisa. And what were they doing?
So
Do you even
apparently
know?
Lisa is doing a docu-series, right? And so she was interviewing
Mm,
Nyla. Nah,
but
Naya.
I,
See, now you got
not
me
yet. I'm
messing her
sorry.
name up.
Yeah,
Naya. So,
exactly.
so Lisa was interviewing Naya for
I
the
was just confused for what
docu-series.
though. Like,
I
it's
can't
not
remember what
explained
the
with the docu
docu-series.
series.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't remember.
but here Naya is molested by Mike Man, and really enjoys being molested by this Mike Man. What did you think about them
I
using
think
that
it's
as an
supposed to be good.
angle for her to move on? Is her being physically accosted by this Mike Man?
He is not white. Oh my gosh, he's not white. He is light
I
skinned,
said
but
Mike Man, not white man.
oh
Oh
my,
my god!
the
I
wine
said
is
Mike Man.
the wine is kicking in. I think it was unnecessary. I mean, again, another moment of comedic relief. It wasn't off though. It did fit the episode because it was in combination with the
Yeah,
whole interview thing happening. But yeah, I mean, it was cute. It was funny. It's a little flirtatious. She did say that she's just newly separated, so she wasn't really thinking like
yeah,
that or whatever. But I feel like she's an awkward flirt kind of girl. Like I think she's gonna
yeah.
be the awkward flirt kind of girl who they like try to navigate and help her out through this time as she's now separating from her husband. So I'm interested to see what that's gonna turn into. But I do like the
Hmm.
dynamic between Lisa and Naya. Like the whole
Yes.
having that moment together as black women. So I like that.
Hey, that's what if they want to lean into anything else, that's something, especially for a show, unfortunately,
Mhm.
that did 6 seasons with no black people in New York. You
Yeah,
may want to lean into that a little bit more and throw Seema in there with them because
yeah,
Seema, I would that dynamic would be extremely interesting to
it
see.
would, it would.
So I would really like that. And again, it Lisa's character is really helping Charlotte come out more. You enjoy Charlotte even more when her and Lisa are around each other
Absolutely.
because it's not the prude Charlotte that we're accustomed to
Yeah,
seeing.
she's not a stick in the mud.
Yeah.
She's
So
stick in
we
the mud,
we
but she's
we
a little wobbly now. She
exactly,
got some wiggle room.
exactly,
Wiggle, 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 wiggle,
exactly.
wiggle.
Now, finally, let's get into the Carrie of it all in this episode, and her having to read her own audiobook and being on chapter 3, which is a chapter that she talks about her last moments with Big.
Yeah.
One, first, what did you think about the scene where she's reliving the final moments, down to hearing the shower and
Shower.
everything?
I actually love it, and I'm wondering if in real life when they do audiobooks, well, I mean, I don't read audiobooks. I don't listen to audiobooks as often. Um,
I'll say this because I think I know where you're going. Um, in Gabrielle Union's audiobook, this is one of the ones I really did enjoy and listen to when she read it herself.
mhm,
When she got to some of the more tragic moments in her past, it was a lot of pausing to like be in that moment again. You could tell it was uncomfortable, but it also brought in the reader more or the
mhm,
listener more
right,
because of that, because that's a
right,
real emotion coming through.
right. Yeah, so that's my thing. I loved the authenticity of it, and I kind of was a little sad that they would tell her that, like, that she would stop, and she's like, "Oh, this is so unprofessional." And the fact that they said yes to me, I was like, you could have used that as an opportunity to say no. Like this is grief. This is how it shows up for some people.
Mhm.
As somebody who's lost a romantic lover, like you do kind of, I'm not writing a book about it, but you have that moment where you kind of relive it and you're like, wow, not like I was there for his last moments, but still, grief shows up for people in different
Everybody,
ways.
yes,
And so I loved that it was her. I love that they chose her. I love that it wasn't some random actress off the street who had no connection to the story. And I love
exactly.
that scene was my favorite scene of the episode. Watching her read, them just kind of showing a side back view of her and listening to the sound of the shower because that made it real. That made it like
Yeah,
it drew me in and I kind of wanted the rest of the episode to just be that, like continue reading to me. So I really enjoyed that part and I thought that it was beautiful. I'm liking that they're showing that part of her, because that was something that we talked about in the first episode, right? Like, it's like, so
Yeah,
where's her grieving going? What's happening with her? And so I think this was a really great segue into just people dealing with their own stuff. There was a lot of emotions this episode. So I think that that's necessary for people to kind of deal with their shit.
exactly. It even in later on in the episode when she's leaving the first audiobook reading and she runs into a random friend who I've never seen before. But it's Sex in the City. There's no telling. This friend could have been around for years and just not I just
Yeah.
don't know them. But when this friend's also lost her husband,
Hmm.
I love the conversation they had about it. And she said, "Oh, year two is actually the bad year
Hmm.
because then, no matter what the moment is, they're not around for it. And you're going to think about it even more
Right.
that that person is missing in your life." I thought that that was a very needed conversation for Carrie because I
Absolutely.
think she's under the assumption like after year one, I should be fine.
Hmm.
But that's not the way grief works.
No.
Like you can't just say 1 year and I'm gonna be fine if
Hmm.
you lose someone, especially that you consider the love of your life or any member of your
Yeah.
circle that you lose. A year is never going to be enough time.
Yeah.
But it's like she needed this person to tell her the truth about dealing with loss.
Yeah.
And then telling Carrie, you need to do when you get those feelings, you need to do something that makes you happy.
Right. And of course, a shopping spree.
The my favorite part of the episode.
A shop,
My favorite part of
nonetheless,
the
an
episode.
authentic Sex in the City shoe
The-
shopping spree with Carrie.
look, listen here. If I don't like anything else, I like a shopping spree. I don't care where that shopping spree is. Like we've done plenty of shopping sprees, and they are they just bring so much joy to the world.
They
If
do.
everybody could experience a shopping spree, and I know
Absolutely.
how that sounds. I actually know how that sounds. I know, so don't kill me for saying it that way. But if everybody could experience that, I think the
Uh,
world would be a much better
just
place.
one time. Just one time. It does make
Exactly. It
you
ain't
feel
gotta be no
better.
way expensive.
Yeah.
You could do a hell of a shop. You go to TJ Maxx, you could get the shopping spree would be immaculate
Yes,
on
it
the
would
stuff,
be.
especially for women, for the
Absolutely.
stuff that you can find. Marshalls, raw, I don't care wherever it is, or Winners, because that's what they call it in Toronto, as I found out when I was there.
Winners.
Yeah, they
Okay.
call Marshalls is Winners in Toronto. It literally says it above everything. It is crazy, but it is a Marshalls, but it's Winners.
Interesting. Okay.
And very, very good artists of clothing for women. Like I swear. But again, it's about just the self-indulgence that you need to when you get in those bad places in those bad moments. You're supposed to do whatever makes you happy. It doesn't matter. It could be
Hmm.
sitting in a park reading a book. It could be throwing yourself a picnic. It could be having a glass of wine. If that's what
Yeah.
makes you happy, you need to do it in certain
Do that.
moments because that will help push you through. And I think
Yeah.
that was an important message here for this episode. And lastly, I'm going to just close out with the whole Lisette robbery scene that we get here, which is
Oh my gosh.
comical
Tragic.
on a level that makes absolutely no sense. And clearly, again, in the world of Sex and the City, we don't live in real New York because I've been to real New York. I've been to events in real New York. You know what the security don't do? Just stand around and do nothing.
That part.
Or you know what? I'm sorry. I digress. Maybe because I'm attending those events as a black person, it's a little different than what they show on this
This is
show.
true. This is
Because
true.
boy, if that was a black man who did that, which I'm glad and extremely happy they did not
They
do
didn't
that.
do it. I hated that scene for so many reasons because Seema catches it, and then Carrie says, "Well, he's just picking it up." I'm sorry, doing what now? It's the white stupidity for me, like the obliviousness of it all. Because, and listen, I love white people. Okay, I'm saying this with love. Pay attention to your surroundings. I feel like it doesn't do them a good service of showing them as ditzy in this scene. Like
Because
this
they
man is
shouldn't be.
clearly stealing. He's putting it in his pocket, and your go-to is to yell out, "You have COVID." What?
And in 2023, who the fuck is running away because someone says they have COVID.
This is
Girl, if you
ridiculous.
don't shut the fuck up and have a drink, I
That
don't care
whole
about your
scene,
COVID.
that scene was stupid and unnecessary, and you guys should be ashamed of yourselves for putting that in there for no reason whatsoever. It was unnecessary. I mean, I get that. So listen, the comedic spaces that you guys have, right, which was the whole what was it, the thing with
Che and
Lisa and
Miranda
Naya,
part
the
and
Jay and
Elisa with
Miranda,
Naya.
yeah, like
Yeah.
those pieces worked. Stop forcing the comedy in this show. This is not the real New York. This is not it. I mean, there's no way that an event that close to Fashion Week is going to not have proper security and that all of her jewelry is going to get stolen. Come on, be realistic. Like, absolutely not. Just
That dude would have been tackled at the gate.
to the
He'd have been arrested.
ground.
Matter of fact, when he picked up the first piece of jewelry, they would have been like, "Hey, we'll break every bone in your body. You got to be
Come
real
on
here."
now. Security.
And
I mean,
and
security,
because
one
they're
word.
real New Yorkers, they're real New Yorkers. That's what really throws me off here. Seema says it best. Like at the end, like they were born. I'm a real New Yorker. Then how are you surprised or not picking up that the guy is stealing?
Security,
It
one
it
word.
makes
I
no
have
sense.
COVID, three words. I'm confused. What happened? Why, Carrie?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah. Or how about Seema? You pull out the cigarette lighter gun a little sooner. All you had to do is pull it out from the beginning. He'd
Just
have
pull up
been
from the beginning. He
terrified.
would have he would have dropped everything. He would
Yeah,
have just
I'd be like, hey, nah, before you move, take everything out your pockets.
everything out your
Because that's not the way we
pockets.
go. Yeah, it
That's
just
what I thought.
again, this show, I think so far this season, whenever they lean into the more dramatic elements of this show is really good.
Yeah,
It's when they do these forceful comedic elements that you be like,
absolutely.
that's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Because the original Sex in the City found comedic moments out of situations that should not have been comedic.
Mhm.
And those moments for this season so far, like the scene with Miranda trying to put on a harness, that was fucking hilarious because she didn't know what she was doing.
It was
Or even a
tragic.
conversation with Che and Carrie.
Yes.
Like that
Yes.
conversation,
And it
while
was
serious in tone,
it,
had a comedic element
it
to it and it
flowed.
flowed.
Right. It
Man,
flowed.
like you have so many in this episode when Seema comes over to visit Carrie after Carrie has fake COVID. And she's like, I don't really have COVID. She takes off the mask. And Seema then takes off the mask and say, great, because this is not in regulation.
Right.
That is funny.
That's
That's
funny, exactly.
extremely funny.
Because it makes
Because that's what
sense.
most people masks can't protect against COVID.
Exactly.
Like that's a funny moment, but you don't have to force these moments. So
Yeah.
hopefully moving forward, they know about forcing comedic moments. But dramatic moments. I want to close off with the Lisette and Carrie scene in the end when she hops in the bed with her and she tells her, eventually we're gonna have to get up,
Mhm.
but we don't have to get up now.
Right now.
I love the comparison of loss there.
Yeah.
While Carrie is mourning, still mourning the loss of Big, and in this scene, she finally accepts that's not something I'm just gonna be able to get over.
Right.
And Lisette is mourning her
Having to start
creative
over.
loss.
Yeah. Starting
Like
over.
it's how just imagine how someone who creates work, creates any form of anything,
Yeah.
and all of it is stolen away. Like any creation you have is like a child.
Absolutely.
And to have someone take that child from you, you can understand why she's wallowing in bed. But I did love this scene, and I love just that again, very small comment from Carrie
Yeah.
of we're gonna have to get up,
Yeah.
but we don't have to get up right now. What did you think about just that short scene between them two?
It's necessary as somebody who has grieved, as somebody who understands like the loss that you're never prepared for.
Mm.
It's necessary to take a moment to really accept that and go through it, like to feel your feels. It's okay. And I think that if a lot more people decided to feel their feels and kind of go through it and sit for a moment, they would deal
Hmm.
with their grief a lot better, because anger is not grief. Anger is just a side effect of grief, and most people don't take the time to actually hurt and be sad in order to get through. And so I love that moment, it was very authentic and genuine. And I love that it even shows a little bit of their friendship too, because she's not just a neighbor,
Yeah.
so I liked it.
Hmm. Hey, and that is it for our review recap of And Just Like
All right, all
That,
right, all right.
episode 3, chapter 3. Now, HBO played in our faces for this episode. That's why you're getting a little late. But we got them together. We got us together. So tune into our regularly scheduled time, which would be 4 a.m. after the episode airs on Max. We greatly appreciate everyone who tuned in for our first recap review of episode 1 and 2. We were kind of wondering because, we understand the gap in between time for this show, but
Yeah.
we were wondering how many people still interested, and you all showed up and showed out to let us know you're still interested in it. And we were gonna do it anyway, but it just makes it better if you're interested in it while we do it. So again, let us know about your thoughts about the storyline so far this season. Do you feel these comedic moments are just filler? Let us know about your thoughts on Carrie and them really showing her not only dealing with grief, but dealing with life and trying to figure everything out, having to officially start over at her age here. And let us know if you think you will be on the MILF list. You can even post a picture up, and I'll let you know if you will be on the MILF list,
Okay.
because I am a helpful person.
He will let you know. Be ready for that.
And anything you need to fix to be on the MILF list, not physically, because ladies out there, your body ain't got nothing to do with you being on the MILF list. It got to do with your confidence. That's all it is. And your dress code. Because if you dress a certain way, you will be on the MILF list in my book. If you're not on anybody
No
else's.
kitten heels. I can tell you that right now.
If you have on kitten heels, not only are you not on the MILF list, you are on the old lady going to church list. Because they're the only ones that should be wearing the kitten heels. If you wear kitten heels, it's because you pray dance. You're prayer dancing. That's why. There's no need for kitten. Those ain't even kitten heels no more. I call them salvation heels. Because
oh my gosh.
at the 3-inch mark, your salvation's at risk. But at 2 inches, you was as saved as humanly possible. It's like wearing a long jean skirt. It's no difference between the two.
We done.
But again, thank you all for tuning in. Peace, people.
Peace.
I